Hi guys, I'm Cassidy at Growing with the Griffins, and today we're giving you a tour of our cut flower garden. In the fall of 2022, we found ourselves needing to move because of a job change. We wanted to start a garden. However, we got here in November, had barely unpacked, and then the snow came. So the snow was covering the ground. We had no way of seeing what the yard looked like or where we could plant anything or how much we could grow. However, we were still hopeful, so we started a lot of seeds in January for winter sowing, and we started seeds in March with grow lights in the basement. We used to have a very large yard, so we started way too many seeds. This is a very small yard, but we're just still getting used to the different size. In the winter, we helped our roommates disassemble a pool table in the basement, and we took the frame of the pool table and made it into a raised bed. We decided that this side yard here would be perfect for the raised bed, but there's still a lot of space left over. So instead of buying more raised beds and spending money, we decided to do in-ground raised beds. We dug out the pathways and heaped up the soil and sort of made raised beds without the wood sides or the metal sides that you would have in a traditional raised bed. When we got here, this side yard was completely covered in rock. I don't know why people put rock anywhere. We had to rake and rake and rake. My dad helped us a lot. It was not easy to get all this rock up. So we raked all the rock, and we dug out the pathways, made these raised beds. Taylor filled the pool table, and we were set. The problem was that there was some black landscape fabric, and then there was the rock. So underneath the landscape fabric, the soil was just completely dead. And when I say dead, I mean there's no bugs, no worms, probably very few microbes, way less than would be ideal. We can't just put plants into dead soil, they're not going to make it. So our first idea was, well, let's just get some compost and do an 1 to 2 inch layer of compost to feed the soil. So we looked everywhere. The only place that we could get compost where we live is from, it's like the city-wide yard waste company. And the problem with that is that pesticides and herbicides, even if you hot compost, don't go away. So you always want to make sure that you're sourcing your compost from really high quality organic places, because herbicides and pesticides stick around. And the second problem with large compost companies like that, they make the pile so big that it heats up way past the temperature target, and it basically kills all the microbial life in the compost. So we'd be taking our dead dirt here and adding dead compost on top. Kind of defeats the purpose. Really not worth our money. Don't waste your money on large companies' compost. It's just going to be dead, most likely, unless you hear otherwise directly from them. So we looked around compost. We looked in other places for compost. We couldn't find anything. It's a huge bummer. And so we decided to look for something else. Taylor went to a couple nurseries and we found a soil conditioner and a bag of manure and a couple other raised bed organic soils, and we just mixed those together and we did an inch layer over all the beds, and then we did a JMS soil drench. You can see our JMS video to find out how to do that. We did one round full drench because there was no plants here, and then we planted in our plants. We've done a couple rounds of JMS. We've made a couple homemade fertilizers from plants here and weeds here. So we've done a couple additional feedings of the soil since, but basically it was a 1 inch of soil conditioner, and that's what we started with here. Here's some of the things that we grew this year. And the first is that we grew dahlias. So we grew 2 types of dahlias, technically 3 types. So the first was tubers that I bought them from Triple Wren Farms. I had already saved some specific tubers from specific varieties from the previous year that I had left over. The main one is Golden Scepter. And then the third thing, well, technically there's 4. So the third one was I had tubers saved from the previous year that were dahlia seedlings that year. So they're basically original dahlias that no one else has. They're from dahlia seedlings, but I grew them from tubers this year. And then the 4th is from seedling this year. So I planted some dahlia seeds, started some dahlia seeds, and have some of those. So tubers and seedlings, and I've got a really fun mix of things growing here. The second thing we have grown here this year is straw flower. You can see that right here. It has that amazing papery sound to it. Love straw flower. It's been awesome. My favorite has been Silvery Rose from Floret. We grew some cress. We grew penny cress from Floret, and we grew emerald beads from Floret. I will grow emerald beads again, but pennycress needs to be supported, and I can't really do that here. So probably not going to grow that one again. As you can see, we grew cosmos. Love growing cosmos. I'm definitely going to grow that again. So we grew stasis, and stasis always surprises me. I plant way too many plants than what I need because stasis grows so abundantly from one plant, and it's not like the easiest flower to arrange with, so I don't end up needing as much as I've grown. So I don't think I'll grow as much next year. A new one I grew this year was honeywort. I was really surprised by this one. It has like the cutest little purple flowers. It kind of reminds me of eucalyptus in some ways. I really enjoyed growing that and arranging with it. I'm definitely going to grow it again. I grew my favorite Goma farina or globe amaranth. I love globe amaranth. It reminds me of like little clovers, and they have one of the longest face lives I've seen in flowers so far. I love growing those. I'll definitely grow those again. I grew nigella and larkspur this year, and I think I'm going to pass on it next year because nigella, it's just too delicate of a flower. I don't enjoy working with it, and larkspur just needs to be like supported, and I can't do that here. Scabiosa and pincushion flower. I love this flower. A lot of people don't like this flower because of the deadheading, but I don't really have an issue with that. Definitely going to grow it again. I've really enjoyed growing scabiosa. We grew mignonette this year. I don't know how I feel about it. I'm probably not going to grow it again. I think if I had lots of space, I'd grow it. Not here. It's too small. Also, the other one I'm not going to grow again, I really liked it, but it's just so big, is apple of Peru. Apple of Peru is amazing, but my space is so small and it's such a large plant that it doesn't really fit my space. And then the last thing I grew that I'm not going to grow again, I don't know, is sweet peas. I love sweet peas. They smell so good, but they just did not do well here. I didn't get them planted soon enough, and so the heat got them before they could bloom, and they just have struggled and haven't bloomed, or bloomed only a little bit. It's just been some wasted space. So for next year, what I'm hoping to grow is I'm hoping to do the whole pool table raised bed as dahlias. Whole first row, I'm going to switch to zinnias. I'm going to do all cosmos here, and then maybe one other thing. And then I'm going to do straw flower and scabiosa, pincushion flower, Goma farina, and I'm going to do sunflowers. So the thing about pincushion flower I've discovered this year is you can space them a lot tighter than 12 inches. The packet says 12 inches, but you could do 8 inches. So I'm going to do straw flower and pincushion flower at 8 inches next year and see how that goes. So we are growing our cut flower garden in 100 square feet of space. And from 100 square feet of space, I'm cutting about 1 bouquet, 2 bouquets a week. I probably could cut 2 bouquets easily a week. So I can have one myself and I can give one to someone else. This is our cut flower garden. I hope that this inspires you to grow some flowers next year. If you enjoyed this video, please give us a like and subscribe.